Let's talk about something everyone's buzzing about: the cost of living. From politicians to your neighbor who can't stop ranting about grocery prices, it's a hot topic. But what does cost of living actually mean for you? And how can understanding it help you budget smarter? More importantly, have you ever wondered if you're paying too much to live where you are? Grab a coffee, at home of course, because we're budgeting here, and let's break it down. The cost of living is the total amount you need to cover basic expenses: housing, food, utilities, transportation, healthcare, and a few extras. Because life without takeout sushi or Netflix would be grim. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, the Consumer Price Index, CPI, measures the prices we pay for everyday items, but there's no official cost of living index from the government. Enter the Council for Community and Economic Research, C2ER. They release quarterly indexes to show how much it costs to live in different cities. Picture it like a financial matchmaking app, except instead of swiping for love, you're swiping for rent prices and grocery bills. Pop quiz. Do you know what percentage of your paycheck goes to housing, food, and utilities? If you're not sure, you might be missing out on some serious savings. How much of your paycheck should go? Where? Here's a rule of thumb. Spend about 30% of your take-home pay on rent, 10-15% on food, and 5-10% on utilities. If your jaw just dropped, you're not alone. A lot of us are spending way more on those basics than we realize. It's no wonder the cost of living conversation is everywhere. For instance, imagine you're thinking of moving. Living in Irvine, California might cost you 3 times as much as living in Wichita, Kansas. That's not an exaggeration. A high salary in one state could barely cover rent in another. So, before you pack up and move for the perfect beach pick, take a closer look at those costs. How to calculate your cost of living. No math degree required. Calculating your cost of living might sound tedious, but it's easier than you think. Here are 2 ways to do it. Analyze your finances. Start with your budget, or make one if you've been winging it. Add up your rent or mortgage, utilities, groceries, gas, and other monthly expenses. Then, throw in some variable costs like new shoes or that impulse blender purchase. Voila! You've got your cost of living. Use a cost of living calculator. If math isn't your thing, don't sweat it. There are calculators all over the internet to help you compare the cost of living between different places. For example, if you're making $90,000 in Cincinnati and considering a move to Brooklyn, you'd need to make $148,800 to maintain the same standard of living. Ouch, right? Quick question. When was the last time you reviewed your budget? If you're living paycheck to paycheck, it might be time to reevaluate where your money is going. If you're thinking about relocating, it's not just about comparing cost of living. Matthias Vernengo, an economics professor at Bucknell University, reminds us that employment plays a big role. People don't uproot their lives just because the price of groceries went up. They move for job opportunities, family, or to improve their overall quality of life. Still, understanding the cost of living can help if you're on the fence. Jeremy Hill, former director at Wichita State University, says the cost of living index is a great tool when you're making that decision. And with remote work becoming more popular, some people can keep their big city salaries while enjoying the lower costs of smaller towns. Does that sound like the dream or what? If you've ever heard of a cost of living adjustment and thought it was just for retirees, surprise! It impacts Social Security payments, but it can also affect salaries. Since 1975, Social Security increases have been tied to inflation. So, when inflation rises, so does the COLA. The government announces the increase every October and it takes effect in January. Here's a question. Does your job offer cost of living adjustments? If not, it might be time to ask. The cost of living isn't just numbers, it's your life. Knowing how much you need to cover your basic expenses and where you might save a little extra can help you make smarter financial decisions. Now here's the question of the day. Would you move to a new city if the cost of living was lower, but the job market wasn't as strong? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, while you're here, when's the last time you checked your budget?